to be extraordinary, you need to be extraordinary. And we try very much not to do things in the way that people have always done them. And I think, you know, as soon as people start talking about best practice and, you know, this business does it like this, you could do it like that too. For me, that's always, I'm really wary of it, because you're only ever going to be like mediocre if you do that, right? You're never ever going to be able to stretch outside of that. And I think for us, we always try and go, look, is there a better way to do this? Is there a different way?
Hi everybody, and welcome to FEBE Founder Stories. Jules, it's lovely to be joined by you again. Since you've last been here, I've been watering the plants, as you can see.
Them.
What do you reckon to my mugs?
I like them.
Yeah?
That one's slightly angled wrongly.
Which one?
Turn that round. Can't see the brand. That's it.
Represent, love it. Lovely to be joined by you again today.
Thanks, John.
And Brie Read, lovely to see you. Now, we actually spoke a few days ago.
We did.
And I must admit, you rocked in terms of your story, so we just had to get you into the studio. So thanks so much for coming. It's absolutely wicked to see you, and especially based on the fact you've only recently just become a mummy.
I have,
So
yeah.
double
No,
congratulations.
8 weeks old today, bless her. Eight
find
weeks, yeah. It's been incredible. She's amazing. It's like not a lot of sleep, definitely. Makes everything a little bit harder. I feel like she gets passed from person to person where you're trying to email and like sort stuff out. But yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, well, in all respect, for an 8-week-old plus, I know you're absolutely still in the thick of everything with what you're doing with Snag Tights, obviously. So that is the story today in terms of all around how you've created this incredible business, Snag Tights. Now, what was the moment? What was and this is the question I love the most. What was that kind of light bulb moment when you thought, this is the business that I'm going to create?
Well, I think it was 2 stages. So I had the first idea while I was walking down George Street in Edinburgh. So George Street is a really kind of fancy shopping street. It's really beautiful, filled with lots of people with their designer bags, and you know, it's all amazing. And as I was walking down the street, I could feel my tights fall down. And you know, when they're at your thigh, it's fine. You just wriggle them up, you pull them up, it's fine. You know, and they kept getting lower and lower and lower, until I knew they were going to slip past my knees. And at the point where they're at your knees, you can't really just wriggle them up anymore. So I imagined this kind of seamless motion where like I stepped out of my shoes, took my tights off, you know, put my tights in my pocket, put my shoes back on and walked on, and it would happen in one motion, and it would be like nobody would notice, it would be absolutely fine. So then tried to implement this, and obviously it didn't work as well as I thought. But you know, was sitting there afterwards, had my hands filled with my tights, and then thought, you know, nobody saw this, right? Nobody looked. It was cool. So turned around to check, and there were like 200 people going, "What did she just do?" And I was like, and just kind of started bolting down the street. And then I was like, you know, this is one of those things that you either like suppress, and I wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats going, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, or I start talking to people, so, you know, and I make fun of it. So I started talking to my friends and going, ha, you'll never guess what happened to me. And everybody had an equally terrible story about tights, and everybody was like, oh my God, I hate tights, they're awful. And I was like, this is a lot of people. So because I'm a data nerd, I decided I would do an actual survey to see how big a problem it was. So we surveyed 3,000 women to find out how big it was, and 90...
Sorry, what point did you start? So you're a self-confessed data nerd.
Yeah.
So you started doing that before you'd even actually...
Yeah, before I'd even thought of anything, because it's just what I'm like. I mean, it costs £100 to be able to survey that amount of people, and you're just like, if you really want to know, that's the only way of really knowing. So, you know, being me, I did it. And then it came back that 90% of women couldn't find tights that fit properly. 90%, you know, and that was massive. And then of that 90%, 70% of women said their life would be fundamentally better if they did have tights that fit. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, you know,
that is huge statistic.
Yeah, we really need to do something with this market. And I was like, yeah, but the market size will probably be really small, and it probably won't be worth doing anything. Then started researching the market size, and it's $56 billion. And at that point, I was like, wow, $56 billion market, and 90% of people think the product isn't fit for purpose. You know,
bang, that was the moment.
I was like, yeah, this, I have to do this. There has to be something here. And if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. So, yeah, that's when it all kind of clicked into place.
So what year was that?
That was 2016.
Okay.
So it took me 2 years to find the right supplier, to make the product, to kind of all get ready to start trading in 2018.
And did you have any experience in this at all? Because like, obviously you said data, so you did the right thing and like did the research, unlike a lot of other businesses that just do it because they think there's a problem and there isn't actually a problem. So where's your experience from?
So I'm a data nerd by background. So I was, a market analyst, then turned into marketing and eventually started running businesses for other people. But my background is in data and marketing, not in clothes and production and manufacture.
So it's literally learning on the job.
So you had to,
I had to even call it that.
Everything about it. I spoke to pretty much every single person that makes tights in the world. Like, just picked up the phone and was like, why don't they fit? What's wrong with them? How can we fix it? What can we do? And so many people, like pretty much everyone, didn't have the time of day for it until I found like literally the right person who was as passionate about tights as I was. And at that moment I was like, right, okay, we can do something here. And then we started developing the product.
So at that point you have identified there is a massive problem, a huge amount of people relate to the problem, and there is one hell of a market to go at.
Yeah.
So 2 years in the making, 2018, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So how did you therefore, in terms of start to create the product and get that product right so that it was going to solve that problem?
So it was understanding what was wrong about the product. So that was buying pretty much every pair of tights I could get my hands on and understanding from the manufacturers what was going on. And it turns out that basically all tights were the same width. They just varied them by length. So they thought, the difference between an extra small pair of tights and an extra large pair of tights was just how long they were and not their width. So there was this massive fundamental problem with them. But then all tights machines that you buy all knit tights at the same width. So, how do you go about making a difference there? So, we had to really work at the mechanics behind it to make the tights different widths. But then there was loads of other stuff with it, like, we knit at a different angle, which means they're less likely to ladder or snag. We, have a stay-put waistband, so once they're on, they're not going to fall down. We have a cotton gusset because you need to keep people fresh and, it just feels a lot better. So there was all sorts of other changes that we made to it. Yeah, so a whole lot of stuff, and we asked loads of people what they like about a pair of tights, what a good pair of tights is versus what a bad pair of tights is, and we put all of that into the product. So it isn't just wider, it's kind of better in lots of different ways.
So why weren't the tight manufacturers doing it? Is it because they can't be asked, basically, and like they were selling that many and like people weren't feeding back, or they just didn't want to innovate? So
I think it's all of that. For me, there's kind of three parts to it. So the first part is that there is no feedback loop, right? Your pair of tights don't fit, you throw them away, you feel bad. Like, you never go, hey, Marks and Spencer's, my pair of tights didn't fit, can you make them better next time? That never happened. Nobody ever did that. Then you have, the people that buy tights, they tend to sit in a job lot with socks and things like that. A lot of time they're men. Men really struggle to understand why, no offence, why a pair of good fitting tights is important. And, I've spent a lot of my time trying to explain to people, like, why a gusset is important and why tights are important. It seems a stupid little thing, but actually makes a big difference to people.
I just have visions of you going out on a Friday night and talking about gussets and, why it's really important.
Yeah, and it's just, it's exactly like that. And people are looking at you going, what? And you're just like, yeah, okay. No, it is really important. And then the third part of that, I think, is just, I always get accused of smashing the patriarchy, but I think it's just that because it's primarily a woman's problem, it doesn't get a lot of, it just doesn't get a lot of illumination, and people don't get it, and people who are making those decisions, don't really get it, and I think that's why it's been quite overlooked, really.
Now, I was at a family barbecue a couple of weeks back, maybe last week, I can't remember, but I remember talking to my family about some of the people that I've met, and I mentioned Snag Tights to my sister, and straight away she was like, oh my gosh, I love Snag Tights. You have got a real following with this brand. So you're clearly really relating to your customers here. Is that because, you know, as you were saying earlier, constantly talking to them, understanding what they need, and they feel that they're being listened to.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, we've always considered ourselves a co-owned brand with our customers. So everything we make is because customers ask us to make it. We make it in the colours that they want. If they want a change to it, we make that change to it. And, you know, it's not here for me. We don't push our product on people. We create it together. And I think that makes everyone feel really involved. But it's also about radical acceptance. So it's, you know, it's size acceptance. It's, you know, whatever your sexual orientation is, whatever your identity, however you perceive yourself, you're accepted just how you are by Snag. And we practice that in a really massive way. So every single comment that someone makes, if they comment on our ads, if they comment on a social post, if they email us, if they write on our wall, if they do any of those things, every single one of them is answered. Literally every. So we have an actual conversation with every customer. And it's not about, you know, just putting them in a box. It's going, you know, what is it? What do you need to see? Or, you know, why has this made you feel bad? Or, you know, what about this made you feel happy? And trying to kind of get to a place where, you know, people feel really accepted by the brand.
And you sell online?
Yep.
Yeah, so purely online.
Yep.
And your resales, I think, is like over 80, it's 84% or something?
Yeah, 84% of people repeat buy with us, which is absolutely crazy. And
so
I take it that's a pretty mega statistic,
yeah, well,
right?
when you said it was 10%, and I look horrified, but obviously it's 84%. So what makes them come back? What's your, I mean, you seem to have lots of USPs, but if you've got such great communication with the consumers, what are they saying? What do they love so much?
So I think the first thing is the product, right?
Yeah.
And I think to have really good repeat purchase, you need to have a really great product, and the product is really good. And I think that's primarily why people come back. But then, you know, they want to collect all the colours and they want to see what's new, and you want to buy the thing that you've helped create, right? You want to actually see what that is. And as we kind of go on, we create more and more things for them. So our big launch, which we're restocking today, which is really exciting, but we did knickers, which again have huge amounts of problems. We did knickers that actually cover people's full bellies, and you can still have a thong on the back, and they're super stretchy and, you know, amazingly comfortable. We thought we'd bought 6 months worth of stock, and we sold out in 24 hours. So now we're 6 months later with the second batch and launching that again today. So everyone's going to be really excited.
What was that? Just take me back. What was that like? What is the feeling that goes through your mind when? Because it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like, oh my gosh, and then oh my gosh, because you haven't got any stock anymore.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really harsh because you're so happy that it's selling so well, but at the same time, literally, you're getting messages going, "You've already run out in my size. When are you going to restock?" And you're like, "In 6 months' time, because that's the quickest we can get them." And it's like,
nice problem, but a tough problem.
Yeah, it's a tough problem, and again, it's about being really honest with the customers around that as well, because they're the ones bearing the brunt of, you know, the inconvenience of that. So we always try and, you know, make sure that they understand, you know, what's happening and what's happening with the business, and, you know, if a price has to rise, why that is, or, you know, if there's a delay, why that is, and we always keep them abreast of what's happening.
Yeah, I was saying to the reason why, Juliet, I confuse things a little bit. My numbers are a bit middle in my head. I said middly, a bit muddled in my head. But I said to Jules, the repeat purchase nuts, 10%. Juliet looks at me like, the 10% is the online conversion, the online sales, which is in itself is a great number. Yeah. Yeah.
So 1 out of every 10 people that comes to the website converts, which is crazy. And, you know, I've worked in e-commerce before, and we were always really happy when it was 2%. You were like, yeah, we're like really killing it. And then, you know, we don't have a great website really. You know, it's good, but it's, you know, it's not stellar. It's really about the fact that they love the product and they love the proposition, and, you know, they want to come back and buy more products with us. And, you know, it's great to have that type of conversion.
Yeah. And have you thought about moving into like sort of retail, like bricks and mortar, or is it e-com and that's where you're gonna grow? So
I think we're gonna stay on e-com, and that's primarily about a margin decision. So for us, you know, we do a huge amount of, you know, our products are really sustainable and ethical, and everyone who makes any one of our products in any part gets paid the living wage, and, you know, all of that is really, really important to us. But the kind of flip side of that is you also need to make the product affordable. What I really hate is when you've got a super ethical product and, you know, somebody's charging, you know, you're making a 97% margin on it. And, you know, for me, that feels really unfair. Everybody should be able to have clothes that fit, that are ethically made, you know, that are sustainable. So we use a fixed margin, which lets us make a small profit, but, you know, keeps our products affordable for everyone, which is what we really want to do. So we couldn't really afford to be in retail, to be honest. We can afford to sell the way that we do, but it also protects what we do as well.
And like, obviously you grew a ridiculous amount during COVID, where you would think that fair enough, people were buying online, but they probably don't need tights because no one got out of the house. So how did you do that?
So I think we would have grown a lot more if there wasn't COVID, if I'm honest. I think it really, if you look at sales of shoes, for example, they were 40% down during COVID. And I think that was, that was probably the natural fit in the market, would have been that much. But I think it was a bit like that thing that they say about lipstick, right? I mean, you know, if you want something to cheer you up and, you know, give your outfit a bit of pop and you can't afford much, a pair of tights does a lot of that for you. So I think we were kind of lucky that people still wanted to buy it, even if it was to stay in the house. Although now we have really great like loungewear as well. So whatever happens in the future, whether people are forced in home or out of home, we've got product for them now. So.
And sorry.
You go.
I was just going to say, was the loungewear as a sort of result of COVID and like looking to sort of diversify a little bit?
Definitely. I mean, we were really thinking about, you know, what it is people live in, and I think a lot about dwell time in clothes. And to have a really close brand relationship with someone, you have to have really long dwell time with them. And if you're wearing a pair of tights 12 hours a day, you know, we have a long dwell time with customers. Where if you're you make a travel pillow, for example, you know, that you use twice a year, your dwell time with that customer is really low. So we have a very high dwell time. And thinking about other products that have high dwell time, and you know, your loungewear certainly has that, right? Particularly during COVID.
It had about 2 years, didn't it?
Yeah. So that's what we were trying to go for, is you know, other areas of clothing where you'd have a high dwell time, and we knew we could do a better job at making them a more ethical job, a more kind of fitting job.
So my point, come back to George's question around COVID, was like so many businesses, you had that oh shit moment where it looked like there was big bother ahead. Now, what was incredible about talking to you those few days back was how your customers, they really helped you, didn't they? Just tell us that story, because I thought that was just brilliant.
Oh, they were absolutely amazing. I mean, we did that thing where, you know, a new business, we spent a ridiculous amount on Facebook the month before COVID hit, and we spent all that money. COVID hit, 50% of our sales were international, so immediately we lost all of those. Our UK business halved, so we're sitting at 25% of our expected sales for that month. We've got Facebook knocking on the door going, you know, can we have our 600k please? Can we have our 600k please? And going, with what? With what? Cash? So initially we were like, you know, the government was like, everything's going to be okay. Like, you know, businesses are going to survive. We're going to make sure everything's okay. So we were like, all right, we're just going to concentrate on a place we can help. So we did 24,000 free pairs of tights to the NHS, which were funded by our customers, because we know we get many messages from nurses saying that, you know, they actually are more comfortable on shift, never having to think about whether their tights are falling down, not having to pop into the toilets to pull them up, you know.
I hope they have tights like yours. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we knew it made a difference to them, so we thought we'd concentrate on that. So we concentrated on that. Then our CFO went, look, you know, we're not going to make it. Like, we're going to run out of money by July. Like, you know, this is it. And we were like,
this is terrifying.
Yeah, we were like, really? We're like 100% not going to make it. And she was like, yeah, there's no way, without any kind of, you know, COVID loans, which we weren't eligible for because we're fast growth, we're online, we don't have actual premises, you know, all of that stuff. We got knocked back for pretty much everything. And then, you know, we're sitting there in shock. So I did what I always did, which is go out and talk to our actual customers. So I was on Instagram going, look, guys, this is what we've been told. This is what's happened. You know, can you guys think of anything that could help? Because we'll do anything. And they came up with this great idea. They said, why don't you do... So we never do offers. Again, never ever do offers. So why don't you do this offer? And it's buy two, get one free. but you pay for it now and you don't need to give us the tights until November. And we were like, okay, like, I mean, that would definitely help. You know, there's benefit for them as a customer. They get a deal that they would never have got. We get cash flow now to put us through. And we were like, sounds really great. And we were hoping we'd get maybe like, you know, 50k, 100k, just something to tide us over. So this was on a Sunday night. By midday Monday, we went live with the offer on the website. By that Friday, they'd raised 1.25 million for us. And it was absolutely, and it was incredible.
How many days, sorry, was that?
So 4 days.
4 days?
Yeah, by Friday morning we had 1.25 million in our bank account, and it was just like unbelievable. And we had 10,000 messages of support from people. So we all, you know, the management team, we divided them up. We answered, as we do, every single message.
Every single message.
To say thank you for supporting us. And I was in tears, like floods of tears the entire time, until I got to this one message, and it was this lady, and she went, Brie, I don't want you to think this is about you. I just need to make sure I can get tights in the future.
Reality check.
It's just like, boom. And I was like, she made me laugh, and I messaged her back and went, that's the first time like I've laughed, not cried since this all happened. And turned out to be like an absolutely wonderful lady. But yeah, it was such a kind of, you know, still looking back at it, I'm completely astounded. And then November came and everybody got their 2 tights for the price of 1 and was like incredibly happy. And, you know, it all panned out. So the customers were really happy with how they helped us. And we managed to get through COVID, which was, you know, which was great.
I would never think there was such an emotional connection with tights there, because like you can imagine if you were like selling toilet roll or whatever and you were offering people that's why they'd give you all their money. But like these are tights, and like your connection with the consumers is so strong that they wanted to support you. It's really quite special.
It was really lovely. But then it's the thing with tights is, you know, if you've got a pair of tights that fit, it means you can wear skirts and you can wear dresses. And what we often hear is that people don't dress on the outside like they feel on the inside. And having a good pair of tights means that you can start to do that, and it builds your confidence. And, you know, 60% of women are over a size 16 in the UK and just don't get the representation, don't get the clothes. If they're buying clothes, they have to go to the plus size aisle, which is hidden in the back so nobody sees them. And, you know, it's a horrible, disenchanting kind of relationship people have with fashion and clothes. And, you know, just a single good pair of tights can make that all a little bit better. And then suddenly you're on a bit of a roll, and you're dressing like amazingly. Like there's this, you know, incredible lady who is, you know, always beautifully dressed in these gorgeous colours and makeup and like lipstick, and we use it a lot of her photos. And she did a video for us, and she was like, you know, she actually said the words, before I found Snag, I didn't know how to express my style. And you're looking at her and you're going, how did you never know? Like you're fabulous. And, you know, and that was just a journey from her. The first pair of tights she bought was a black pair of tights, and now she's like in all sorts of bright colours and polka dots, and you know, her entire life matches how she feels on the inside.
I think you nailed that word there. This is a special relationship you have with your customers. To give you the money in advance of the stock, that shows insane amounts of trust as well.
Yeah, because they knew, and I mean, everybody said, look, you know, we know we might not get this. You know, we know very well that there's a really good chance that you'll go under and we'll never get our 2 pairs of tights. You know, but we're prepared to do this bit. You know, we're prepared to put a little bit of money in and hope for the best. And you know, they absolutely completely saved us. It was incredible.
Yeah, wow.
And I think that's a real sort of sign of a good business, where you've got that emotional connection with your consumers. So many brands at the moment, you know, they just sell, but they don't really connect with their consumers, whereas you do on that level, and they're just so supportive.
They really are. And I mean, the products and everything we do is for them, right? And if you don't have that connection with them, who are you doing it for? You know, and I used to work with brands, and you'd go, you know, who's your audience? And they'd be like, oh, I imagine it's, you know, it's CEOs in their 20s who live in like London. And you're just like, yeah, that's, you know, that's who you want your audience to be. It's not who it is, you know, like you need to embrace the people that wear and use your product, because they're your customers, they are your brand, you know.
This is something that you told me again a few days back, which was, and I love this, and I have really started to do this myself, which is actually running stuff on WhatsApp. And the reason why I love this is because, you know, when you write emails to people, there's the whole formality of it.
Yeah.
Take time to think about the formality. Do you finish it kind regards, best regards, all the best, speak soon, chat soon, whatever. There's so much faffing with it that actually WhatsApp's great. She just gets to the point. It's quite real. It's quite quick.
Yeah.
That's how you run your business, right?
Yeah, so we run the whole business off WhatsApp, and we do that because you're right, it's quick, it's direct, you can do things really fast. I mean, a big part of our business is how quickly we can turn things around. And, you know, we also, you know, we're a company of introverts, so, you know, everyone's worst dream is somebody ringing them up and going, hey, how was your weekend? You know, how's your pet doing? You know, that's literally, everybody hates that. So, you know, nobody wants to talk on the phone. Nobody wants to do small talk, so we just, you know, we do it all through WhatsApp and can do it quickly and efficiently.
And so that's been a game changer in terms of the flow, the effectiveness of communication, right?
It really has. So we've even taken our kind of meetings on WhatsApp. So rather than have, you know, 5 people around the table and one of them's worried about, you know, their sick iguana, somebody else is really hungry, somebody else didn't sleep that night, and nobody's contributing effectively, we tend to run ideas in WhatsApp as well. So we'll set up a group and everybody can contribute when they feel passionate about the subject. So, you know, it might not all happen in that hour, but what the information you get from everyone is absolutely the best, and they're doing it while they'll feel like they're giving really good information and feedback on the decision that you're trying to make. So yeah, we try and cut down meetings as much as we can.
Meetings, internal meetings.
Yeah, internal meetings.
What's the kind of rule, if there is a rule?
I mean, there isn't really one, which is mainly just don't, unless, you know, you absolutely like
Don't
have
do
to
it.
on pain of death, don't do it. And yeah, so we tend not to have very many of those. It's a bit weird when we bring like agencies in and stuff to work with us, and they're like, so we're going to have a weekly meeting, and you're like, no, we're not. Here's your WhatsApp group. Communicate with us like this. Don't phone us again. So yeah,
So it's been a game changer.
Yeah, no, it is. It's really different, and it lets us do things super speedily, and, you know, lets it be really properly efficient, and cutting out all of the, you know, the extra stuff that people do, which, you know, you don't really have to.
All the bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And how many staff have you got?
We've got about 120 full-time staff
Okay.
now, and probably about 40 temps. Across we've got 2 warehouses, one in Venlo in the Netherlands and one in Livingston, Scotland.
And did you recruit on the cultural fit, you know, the passion for the product, or as the business has grown, have you recruited more for sort of skill set? Because you said you've got like 120 introverts.
Yeah, so we started off recruiting by skill set, and we realised that the way we work is not for everyone, and some people get very upset by it. And I think if you like talking on the phone, you know, you have to talk through every decision you make with somebody. You know, you feel that you show that you're engaged by being present, you know, like bums on seats. It's not the type of organisation for you. You know, you need to be really comfortable with delivering outcomes and, you know, not being watched all the time and not having that kind of constant attention. So we now very much recruit on personality fit rather than like skills, because skills you can teach someone, personality fit you can't. We also now have a kind of half an hour session with everyone that joins where we tell them, you know, do you really like talking on the phone? Do you really like it? Are you just pretending you don't like talking on the phone? Because if you do, you're not going to enjoy this.
Just keep phoning them, see if they answer.
Yeah, just like, so we give them a half hour rundown about all the reasons why they might not like working for us. And that's definitely made, you know, recruitment a lot easier. And our last kind of batch of recruitment, I'd say in the last kind of year, has been really, really great and has made a big difference to how we work it.
One thing that one of the many things that blows my mind about, especially what both of you achieved. Grenade, how many countries were you in?
Over 80.
Over 80, okay. My understanding is 90 countries?
Yep, 90 countries.
I mean, that is one of the biggest challenges and one of the best things about growth, I imagine, for many businesses, when you start to see your product starting to go into different shores. How do you start to achieve, you know, an international footprint?
So for us, some of it was really easy, some of it was accidental, and some of it's been almost impossible.
Yeah.
And I think for the great thing about being online only is that it's really, you know, you don't need to make new negotiations with, you know, people to sell your product. You don't have to do all of that stuff. You're sending it all out from, you know, somewhere you can control. And with social media, you're international anyway. So, you know, lots of people start buying your product from different countries. So immediately we could see, you know, where the potential was. So we saw loads of people from the US buying our products. That was one of the very first places we really started to concentrate on. So, you know, the US has grown really well from us. Germany, the same thing, has grown really, really well. Australia has grown really well. And we saw those markets kind of naturally develop. And then you've just got, you know, random places. Like we sell tons of tights to Korea. We don't advertise in Korea. We don't do anything there.
Wow.
Like, you know, but they love our tights, and we
You
sell
don't
a
even
lot
know.
there.
You don't even know how they've.
No.
How they've.
Well, they just buy the tights. No idea how they found out about us. And you know, you see that more and more, and somebody will be like, you know, we get weird requests all the time from like strange countries that you've never heard of, and they're like, oh, my sister's like mother-in-law buys your tights and I'd love to get them here, can you ship them to us? And we're like, okay. We get them shipped, and yeah, it's kind of grown in time. Our German snagglers have got their own snaggler group, so we have lots of fan groups on Facebook. Yeah,
That's what they're called, snagglers. I love it.
The German ones have their own snaggler group, and they decided to do a challenge where they all dress like a different fish for every day of the month.
As you do.
I don't know why, and I only found out about this when a lady emailed me a picture of her dressed as a clownfish, and she was like, I'm taking part in the German Snag Fish Challenge. Here's me on day 13, which is Clownfish Day. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, oh my God, I didn't know you guys were doing this. And then, you know, got a load more pictures of her from, you know, her different fish-inspired days.
Sounds like you get a lot of enjoyment and have a lot of fun seeing how your customers interact with you. That is just coming across so much here. You love it, don't you?
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and I love the creativity. And we've just launched a new group, which is Snag Not Safe for Work, NSFW. Because, you know, some of our customers were getting in trouble putting their kind of racier pics, you know, in our kind of normal groups, and it's gone amazingly. And there's just these like incredible photos of people, and, you know, people are so passionate about sharing their stories, and, you know, we like to be really inclusive in that way. We actually found out that one of our customers who buys a lot of our fishnets is a porn star, and she's got a video on Pornhub that has over 2 million views. And we were like, and she's wearing our tights. yes, this is amazing.
Wow.
So
what interesting product placement.
But so this is, you know, this is
John's
it,
pretending
like,
he hasn't watched it.
I've not heard of this.
seen it.
Yeah.
Hub porn, whatever you call it.
wherever it is, yeah, nobody knows that one. But yeah, it's just interesting, and I think that's part of being, you know, radically inclusive. We sponsor RuPaul's Drag Race.
Really?
Yeah, and things like
I
that.
love that
where
programme.
It's a great programme, isn't it? Yeah, no, really, really great. And the first time Rue said Snag Tights, I think I almost died. I was like, oh my God, this is like all my heavens like meeting at once. It's incredible. But yeah, it's things like that. We try and be inclusive of everyone who wears our product, right? It's not going, you know, oh no, we don't want to talk about that bit, or we don't want to talk about that bit. It's like all of it is incredible, and we're so proud of all of them, you know, whether or not it's, you know, a 30-day dress like a fish challenge, or, you know, it's somebody on Pornhub. It's like, it's amazing, and we're so proud of them and what they're doing.
I think RuPaul says one of the best things that I take for advice of business, which is a statement, just don't it up.
Yeah, no, we send each other that gif all the time on WhatsApp. Yeah,
Well, if you do it up, admit you it up and do something about it. Don't try and hide it.
yeah, no, exactly.
I have that in my head. I love it.
Yeah, every time we do a new launch, at some point Tom will send the gif, just don't it up. You're like, yeah. And it always gets up anyway, but, you know, that's life.
You have, with the business, achieved so much in such a short period of time. And let's take this back to 2018, we're 2022. Can I mention the turnover going to, you know, 40 million? Would it be in the next financial?
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Now this is where, I mean, I get very excited talking to entrepreneurs, as you probably could tell. But it's when you said, you know, we can take this to $1 billion, and you meant that.
No,
there was no
100% mean it, and it's like I don't see, you know, as if tights alone is a $56 billion market with 90% of people not finding tights that fit. You know, we should be able to do $1 billion alone on tights, you know, but you look at the other stuff we're starting to get into now as well. 20% of our business isn't tights anymore. You know, those markets are even bigger, and there is no reason that we can't do that, and we can't do it well. Do you know what I mean? Do it ethically, do it caring about our customers, you know, doing it in a way which is just with real thought behind it, and that's what we want to do, because you know there's so many people who are sitting there who don't have the opportunity to dress on the outside like they feel on the inside, and we want to change it for them, you know. And for me it's a race to get to them all, you know.
For me, that's, you know, they talk about businesses with purpose, and again, just the way you talk about with passion, how you're on a mission to make sure that those feelings are not felt by people, is why you're so successful. And one thing just to touch upon as well is the fact that in terms of the growth, it's been sustained by, I mean, you've not had to go and raise a lot of money.
No, we've raised about 600k in total. We did 100k initially, which was to get our first stock order in, you know, our first photo shoots, all of those type of things. And then we raised a little bit more to do our warehouse in Livingston.
Yep.
Our warehouse in Venlo, we've been able to self-fund. So from that point on, we really haven't needed
any... the one in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, yeah. And, you know, we haven't taken on a lot of money to do it. And we're really careful that, you know, we're profitable on every order. That's really that's been key from day one. So we've managed to post a profit in all of our years because of just that focus on making sure that, you know, our actual kind of basic COGS metrics are good, and that we can, you know, we can sell in the way that we do and do it consistently.
So you're super savvy as well.
It's just important, right? Like, you know,
this is what you always say, isn't it? This is your big thing.
You need to make the cash. Like, you know, we have to do all those parts, and we don't try and do it excessively. And I think that's, you know, that's a big part as well. Is, you know, lots of fashion businesses work on like a 90% margin, and you know, ours is 60, and you know, that's because we want to be fair to the customers, and in turn they're fair when it comes to recruiting them, right? It doesn't cost us as much to recruit them, and that makes a big difference too.
To bring this all together, this is just an epic story, because you have got a brand which your customers love. The growth story is just off the scale, and it's also international, so you know the name is spreading far and wide. The way you're running the business, all about efficiency, matching people's personalities, how they want to be able to actually work. There are so many amazing things that are obviously turning the amazing engine that you've built here. If it's possible, what is the biggest piece of advice that you would give for people watching this going, do you know what, I'm inspired by this, I want my brand to be like this, I want to do these things, I want to achieve these things. Is there anything that you can wrap up as a great piece of insight?
So I think there's two pieces for me, and the first one is, you know, to be extraordinary, you need to be extraordinary. And we try very much not to do things in the way that people have always done them. And I think, you know, as soon as people start talking about best practice and, you know, this business does it like this, you could do it like that too. For me, that's always, I'm really wary of it, because you're only ever going to be like mediocre if you do that, right? You're never ever going to be able to stretch outside of that. And I think for us, we always try and go, look, is there a better way to do this? Is there a different way? And sometimes we'll do things differently just for the sake of doing it differently, right? Because something better might happen, you don't know. But you do know if you do it like everyone else, you're just going to get the same outcome, right? Yeah. So you need to take those risks. And I think the second part of that is really not listening to that much advice, or at least processing it yourself as well, because everybody wants to tell you how to run your business, or you know, how your product will be better, or what to do. And I can't count the number of times people have said to me, you should double the price of your product, you know, you should go into stores, you should do this, you should do that, you know, a big list of things that would ruin what our business is. And I think you have to be really brave and listen to people and go, you know, okay, I've heard you. Unless I really feel what you've said chimes inside me as well, and I really get why it would be better for my business, I'm going to say no. And it's probably better to say no than it is to say yes and keep changing your business without really understanding why you're doing it and when it's changing your actual proposition.
It's a complete conviction in your thoughts.
Yeah. But I think you doing that research as well at the beginning is so key, because like I said, so many businesses start thinking they've got this great idea where the market's like 3 people, them and like 2 of their friends.
It's so sad,
whereas you
isn't
did
it?
all that to start off with, so knew you had something.
Yeah, because I see that a lot, and I think that's always the advice that I give to new entrepreneurs as well, is, you know, make sure you've actually got a problem, and then make sure the market's big enough to actually sustain a business, because otherwise, you know, you put a huge amount of effort in for nothing. And you know, the market size bit is super, super important, because without it, you don't have a business. As you know, as much as your product is great, as much as you love it, as much as your two friends love it, without a market size there, it's never going to sustain anything more than just you know.
Yeah, awesome. Brie, you're awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story. This has been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
Wow, and what an awesome company you're building. So thank you. It's been great to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.